was abducted last night from Big Five. Somebody struck my wife while she was trying to change his diaper.
It's appropriate to have a press conference because it was the defendants in this case that had a press conference first. And they did so in order to tell the public, the media, and ultimately law enforcement that their child had been kidnapped, when in fact that's not what occurred.
You did willfully and unlawfully murder baby Doe, and it shows EH, a human being. Okay.
Defendant Jake Haro pleading guilty, admitting to murdering his son, baby Emmanuel. But the 7-month-old's remains still not found. So where is he? And will we ever find out? Plus, a Family Matters star in court acting like an attorney. We'll show you the video that is swirling around online. Also this hour, what the jury won't get to know in the hot car dad trial for defendant Christopher Schultes, as we remember his beautiful 2-year-old daughter Parker this morning. Plus, we're looking ahead to convicted killer Bianca Ellis' sentencing as her defense attorneys join us live here on the show. It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Friday morning to you, my friends. Welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. It's going to be a great day, and we've got a great show to get your day started. Grab that cup of coffee right now. It's time for my opening statement. It's about time. It's about time that criminals start taking responsibility for their crimes. Jake Haro is the most recent criminal to do just that, as Haro pleaded guilty to the murder of his 7-month-old baby, Emmanuel. With his plea, California tax dollars are saved, time and resources are conserved, and his case proceeds straight to sentencing on November 3rd. I have got to respect that. I certainly don't respect what he did, but I respect the fact that he didn't continue with the charade that he had started back in August when baby Emmanuel was reported missing. This guy owned up to his atrocious behavior and accepted legal responsibility, which is commendable. I just hope that before he heads off to prison for hopefully the rest of his life, that'll help investigators find baby Emmanuel, to bring that child home for a proper burial and to have a proper gravesite. That precious little angel didn't stand a chance. And I pray that he's resting peacefully up in heaven with the angels now. That's my opening statement on this Friday morning. Let me know if you like it. Right now, it's time for your daily docket.
Did you notice anything about their clothing, the clothing worn by the group of people that Liam was with?
They were all wearing similar, if not matching, T-shirts and or sweatshirts that show that they were part of the Dublin Fire Brigade.
In Massachusetts, we've got the accuser in the rape trial for Irish firefighter Terrence Crosby returning to the witness stand today. Court is set to get underway at 9 a.m. Eastern. We're going to monitor that one close to you and go in live when we can. In Wisconsin, we've got closing arguments in the Crossfire murder trial for defendant Parise Larry. This young man is 16 years old, 14 at the time of the incident in question. He took the stand yesterday. This morning, we'll hear those arguments at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And we're gearing up for our next live trial for you in Florida. Jury selection beginning Monday in the murder trial for defendant Alicia Andrews. She's accused in what we're calling the ambush shooting of rapper Julio Folio. That trial is set to start up soon. Andrews, one of 5 suspects who's accused in this case. Right now, let's turn to your top story this morning here on Opening Statements. That's little baby Emmanuel. His remains still nowhere to be found as his father, Jake Haro, pleads guilty to his murder. Haro sobbed in that California courtroom on Thursday as he admitted to abusing and murdering his defenseless baby.
How do you plead to the charge in count 1 of the amended felony complaint, a violation of Penal Code Section 187A?
I'm guilty.
And for clarification for the record, that's going to be in the 2nd degree?
Yes.
Sir, do you admit that you committed a violation of Penal Code Section 187, Subdivision A, a felony, in that on or about August 5th of 2025 through and including August 14th of 2025 in the County of Riverside, State of California, you did willfully and unlawfully murder baby doe, initials EH, a human being?
I admit.
Now, Jake Haro's wife and baby Emmanuel's mother, Rebecca, was in court too. Remember, she's charged as well. She entered a plea of not guilty in this case, so no change for her. Now, the same day of Jake Haro's sentencing, November 3rd, Rebecca is set to have her preliminary hearing on the murder charges and the charge of filing a false police report. That stems from the defendant's falsified report of Emmanuel's abduction on August the 14th. Now, Rebecca Haro claimed that she was attacked in a parking lot while she was changing Emmanuel's diaper, claimed that she was beat up and he was taken, but we know that was not the case. So what comes next in the investigation? Is Rebecca going to trial? And will baby Emmanuel ever be brought home? Let's bring in our guest. I have with me private investigator with Black Ops, private investigator. She's also a military veteran and a veteran of the NYPD, Manuel Gomez, and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor, David Bruno. Good morning to you both. Manuel, let me start with you, please. Your reaction to this guy pleading?
Well, Julie, I have to agree with you. I mean, thank God that he had the final awareness to take this plea, because the case was so against him, there was no way he was going to win. And it does save the public time and money. But do I believe this body is going to be found now? I have to say, Julie, no. But there are two possible locations. I've been doing a lot of research into this case. One, the baby could possibly be at the landfill that was near, not far from his home, because there was indications of him going to two different locations, dropping off bags in a dumpster. That's one location. But the second one was where he bought the baby, where he bought the cops, which was in that canyon area off the highway. Now, the problem with this is that if he did bury that baby, it was a shallow grave. There's coyotes, mountain lions, there's all type of carnivorous creatures that will eat that body and drag it off. So I think the possibility of us finding the remains is very bleak right now.
Manuel, thank you so much for that insight. You've given us such great insight since this news broke. David Bruno, I want to turn to you now. I want to share some of the details with this plea. Some of our courties were wondering, was this a straight up plea to the indictment, or was there an agreement? No agreement here with the DA's office. He pleaded to all of the charges, and the judge will make the determination on the sentence. He's looking at a potential of 25 years to life in prison. So no agreement to charges, no agreement to sentence. David, you were a prosecutor. How rare in your experience is something like this, where there's no deal to anything and somebody pleads very early on like this?
Extremely rare, because, our criminal justice system is set up for plea negotiations. When we talk about plea negotiations, typically there's a benefit to the bargain between one side and the other. Because that otherwise, if everything just went to trial, there'd be just like a deadlock in all of our courts with the minimal resources, the scarce resources of our courts. And that's the reason that plea bargaining is there, is to push things through and be efficient in the courtrooms and avoid trials when we could. So generally speaking, these cases that don't go to trial do result in pleas. However, this prosecutor could have said there is no plea agreement, leaving him with no real option, honestly, except that I just wonder, was there a conversation about getting information about where the body was? We have talked about a similar situation in Kohberger, about the lack of motive and explanation from Kohberger. And in this case, I wonder if prosecutors were at the very least asking where the body was. And then final point, the wife. The wife's got her court date coming up, and we got to understand what's happening with the wife. I mean, is he exonerating her? Are they cutting her loose? Is she just pleading to the false reporting? So we have a number of questions still that remain. And then finally, how do we avoid this from happening again? Because this particular defendant had a prior incident in 2018 where he probably shouldn't even been let out to even commit this crime. Those are my points, Julie.
That's so true, David. For anybody who might have missed the news on this guy, Jake Haro severely beat his baby girl a few years back so badly that she is permanently disabled from the beating that he inflicted on her. And he got a probationary sentence, which is disgusting. It's something that Manuel and I have talked about a lot on this program. And David, I know you agree, he shouldn't have been out. He was out, and he was able to have another son, and look what happened. But now he's not going to be out. He's gonna stay in for a long time. I hope the judge maxes him out on as many years as he can give him. David, you brought up Rebecca, so I want to talk about her. I have a clip for you both. I know you'll remember. This is a clip that went viral. This got the case on the national stage when these two held a little press conference, if you will, in California and pleaded for their son to be brought home.
We come to you guys asking you to help us find our son. He was abducted last night from Big 5. Somebody struck my wife while she was trying to change his diaper. And we just ask if anybody knows anything to please contact the Ukaipa Police Department.
Don't hesitate, just call.
All right, I want to dig deep here on Rebecca because I'm just not sure about her. Manuel, let's talk here. We know that she had the shiner when she was, it was kind of hard to see in that video, but a black eye was visible on her when they were announcing that baby Emmanuel was taken and that she was accosted in this parking lot. There it is, thank you to our awesome director, Matt Woolley, for popping up that. Okay, so look at that. That doesn't look fresh, right? You know, we discussed this and we're going, that looks like that might have been there before this incident when the baby was allegedly taken. Manuel, I wonder if Jake Haro was abusing Rebecca as well. When she was standing there with him, she looked terrified to me. And I wondered if she was afraid of what he may do if she speaks out here. I'm kind of wondering, is she not the guilty party here? What do you say?
Well, it's kind of a double-sided sword. She is and she isn't. She's a victim first. She's a victim of domestic violence and a victim of, in my opinion, professionally, is Stockholm Syndrome. This man brainwashed her. She was beaten so much that she, did anything to survive herself and lied for him. And I think this is why she hasn't admitted guilt to anything and she's still sticking to the same original lie. That's something to note right now. But those injuries, as we stated way back in the beginning of this case, Julie, and you and I were both agreeing that she is a victim of abuse and that this is what caused her to lie. And the problem is, I hope she not only gets sentenced, but I hope she really gets the help that she needs, Julie, because truly, she doesn't even fully aware of what she's still doing. Even though her husband admitted to everything, she's still sticking to the same lie that somebody stole her baby. This just shows you how mentally incapacitated this woman is.
Oh, that's a great point to end on. Manuel Gomez, thank you so much for that. I know we have to let you go. You have cases to solve. Thank you for spending time with us this morning. David's coming with us. We want you to do the same at home, please. When we come back, here's what's still to come on opening statements. We are spotlighting the hot car dad trial for defendant Christopher Schultes. We'll talk about what the jury won't get to hear. Plus, actor Darius McCrary, remember him? He was Eddie Winslow from Family Matters. Well, he's in court representing himself. So how did he do? You got to see the video.
I'm here on special appearance.
Special appearance for who?
I'm here on special appearance.
Sir, who are you specially appearing for?
I'm specially appearing for Darius McCrary.
I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Spelling bees aren't about winning. They're about the journey and how we grow. The Believe Fund provides free enrollment for low-income schools. You can help give kids a chance to participate. If you believe in the power of words, DONATE today.
Welcome back to Opening Statements. Let's talk about what is trending. Actor Darius McCrary finds himself as a trending topic this morning, but for his courtroom antics instead of his popular role on the hit TV comedy Family Matters.
Wow, Haro, what luck. The girl of your dreams just dropped in.
Hey, baby. Home now.
Known for his role as playing Eddie Winslow on Family Matters, Darius McCrary stood before a judge earlier this week for some more serious matters. McCrary was arrested in California earlier this month, stemming from a missed court appearance in Michigan relating to his failure to pay child support. But he chose to represent himself during the hearing and even presented this motion before the court.
Based on the fact that the 50th District has completely continued to violate all of my rights, my 4th, my 5th, my 14th Amendment, my right to due process is constantly trampled. And I figured out why, because under due process clause of the 14th Amendment, personal judgment is void if rendered by the court, which has no jurisdiction over the defendant. That's Penmore versus Neff, 95 U.S. 714, 24L, ED 565. And Michigan has no jurisdiction. Before we proceed, we need to establish jurisdiction.
All right, so let's break down the courtroom conduct, shall we? Let's get our guest thoughts on Darius McCrary's initial statement and that motion we just saw he made before the court. Let's bring back in attorney David Bruno and welcome in entertainment commentator Holland Reed. David, I want to start with you here, please. He's not a lawyer, but he was really good spouting out, his rights and citing amendments and due process. What'd you think?
Yeah, I'm making a special appearance for David Bruno on this one. And that is, listen.
We're going to get to that.
I mean,
exactly.
that's a little odd, right? But I'll tell you what, he was hitting the points. He actually was hitting the points on extradition. Because anytime we talk about extradition, what first has to be established is the jurisdiction of the original court, that the defendant is the actual person in the complaint or warrant, and then there's a process. It's the extradition process. So there's an old adage that says, he who represents himself as a fool for a client. But Eddie here didn't do a bad job, honestly.
Yeah, I was impressed. I mean, he definitely researched the issues. I was impressed for a non-lawyer to come in there and make that argument to the judge. I thought he did a fine job. Holland Reed, we want to know what you think, please.
Julie, you're going to know what I think, because this is the case of, are you delusional or are you actually really smart? It's like, stay in your lane, play your part. You're an actor on TV, but maybe not. You might want to be careful when you're defending your life, your livelihood, and your rights. But I will say, to David's point, I agree with him. It was cringy to watch, but also very, informative, because he did know what he was talking about. I will say, though, when the judge told him to get a lawyer, I was like, yeah, maybe do that, only because he was coming off a little, not necessarily unhinged, but you just want to make sure you have the degree behind you when you're defending yourself. So, I mean, he did come with the facts. He came with the facts, but still, nobody wants to see it. It was a little cringeworthy, but not terrible.
You're right, Holland. Yeah, it was really not a bad start. That's a good way to put it. It was not terrible. Yeah. A decent start for a non-lawyer representing themselves in the courtroom. So then things changed a bit for him in the courtroom. So he had this to say while responding to the state's reply to this fugitive complaint that was filed against him. Let's watch.
So did you care to respond before the court rules on your motion?
There's no injured party, Your Honor. Oh, I'd like to also say I'm here as special appearance.
Special appearance for who?
I'm here on special appearance.
Sir, who are you specially appearing for?
I'm specially appearing for Darius McCrary. I'm here pro per special appearance.
And when you say you were here pro per and special appearance, who are you?
I'm an authorized signatory thereof of the estate and the executor of the estate.
Who's the estate?
The McCrary estate.
And your name is?
Darius. I'm the authorized signatory thereof, Darius McCrary.
And your name is?
Darius McCrary.
Oh, so we're asking, should Darius McCrary act as his own attorney? We know he's an actor. Holland Reed, you're an actress. I want you to weigh in first on this, please.
Julie, I feel like from now on, I just want to be here on a special appearance. I just want to just speak in third person. I've never heard that, and you as a prosecutor, I'm sure, like I've never heard anyone stand up and say that about themselves and speak in third person. I think that also is kind of like where Hollywood can really kind of remove you from reality. You're in a courtroom. You're not on special appearance. You are yourself representing yourself. So again, cringeworthy, not terrible, but very interesting to watch.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the first time I saw it, David Bruno, I thought, oh, he doesn't sound well here. What is going on? It's like a strong start, and then what is happening here? But then when I watched it again, I thought, is he confused thinking that he wants to put his appearance on the record? You know, like we say, you know, good morning, Julie Grant, representing the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Your Honor, you know, and I introduce myself. Is that what he's doing? I want to know your thoughts, David.
Oh, I'll tell you, who knows what he's doing, honestly? But this is a child support case. He's not paying his child support. And then also the prosecutor made an argument that he's a flight risk because he was arrested like at the border of Mexico. And the argument is that he's developing real estate in Mexico, and that's why he was down there. I mean, round and round and round we go. How about just pay your child support? Okay, then you can get out, and then you don't have to make special appearances, and you don't have to do all this legal work that you have no idea what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, so this warrant's issued, and he gets picked up on this warrant. And so that's why the challenge of, you know, the jurisdiction here. And he's going, wait a second, I'm in California. What's up with this in Michigan? And so he was right to question things. But yeah, like you said, David, if he wasn't paying, and we don't know, want to be clear on that, he needs to clear up his problems if there are some outstanding bills that he owes. Perhaps he should go back to acting. I loved him on Family Matters. I love that show. Who else was a TGIF kid growing up? Holland, David Holland? Yeah, I mean, Family Matters. We lived for that, didn't we? What'd you say, David?
Did I do that?
Did I do that, Urkel?
Did I do that? Yes.
Right? Holland, what do you think? Do you think he can get back into acting at this? No, you're fine. I mean, what do you think? We know he was a big child star. Do you think he should maybe think about going back to work?
Yeah, you know, Julie, it's funny that you said that because the first thing that came to mind was Lindsay Lohan. It's like we just wanted her to get back in her groove, and her redemption stories in Hollywood are always the best stories because when you get off kilter, when you kind of like lose your way along the way, especially coming from being a child star, it is hard to get back on the horse. But when you do, and we get to see people working their magic, we love that. We root for that. No one is looking at, you know, Eddie Winslow and saying we want him to fail. We want to root for him. So I think he needs to go back and find a job as a lawyer on television. What are the shows that are out right now? I feel like he could probably play one very well.
He should. You know what? There's a new one premiering tonight. I can't wait to watch Boston Blue, Donnie Wahlberg's show. You know, maybe he could be a lawyer on that one. That would be great. Yes. You're right, Holland. He did a fine job in that first part of the hearing. It was really good. Eddie Winslow, loved him as an actor. Darius McCrary, we hope you get things on track. That's all for this segment. Holland Reed, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll see you soon. David Bruno, stand by. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, here's what's next on Opening Statements. Chris Schultes the defendant in the hot car death trial, which is set to begin in a couple of weeks. We're talking about his case this morning because one of his big secrets is going to be safe from the jury. We'll tell you what it is on the other side of this break. And Bianca Ellis found guilty for murdering 3-year-old Julian Wood. This was the grocery store stabbing case that we covered extensively. Guess what? Her attorneys are joining us live on the show this morning. Welcome back. This morning, we're giving a voice to victims like 2-year-old Parker Schultes, who died in a hot car last year. This is her father's preparing to go to trial, accused of causing her death. Christopher Schultes is facing a first-degree murder charge for beautiful Parker's death. He's pleaded not guilty, and his trial is set to begin on October 27th. This week, the judge ruled that information that Schultes was searching for porn online while little Parker was in the hot car cannot be shared with the jury. That is a significant win for the defense team. Schultes told police officers that Parker was sleeping in the car, so he left her there.
She was sleeping in the car, and I had the car on, but it has a sensor where every 30 minutes or so it'll turn off if you haven't moved. I swore she was in the house playing with her sisters like she always does.
Now, the judge also ruled that witnesses can't mention that Schultes searched for porn on his PlayStation. Okay, so let's talk about that right call. Let's bring back in attorney David Bruno and welcome in parenting and family relationship expert Dr. Sue Kornbluth. Good morning to you both. So David, this search for pornography, nobody is going to know about this. Witnesses can't say it. The attorneys can't say it. Is that the right call by the court?
Now, I'm scratching my head on this one. I mean, it is extremely probative as to what he was doing, especially such deviance on the device. With that being said, though, when we talk about appeals on these types of issues, we're talking about bad character evidence. We're talking about other acts and things like that. It's one of the most frequently issues that are reversed. So it's being sanitized. The court is not just removing it altogether. The prosecutor is still able to say that he was on his device and he was doing leisurely activities. So I think it's one of those situations where the court's probably sanitizing it to protect the record moving forward. Because this is a very, very strong case for the prosecutor in a sense that he's on his device, but there's also prior incidents involving other children where he was warned by not only his wife, but also police. So I believe I wouldn't have excluded it personally if I was on the bench for this particular issue. But with that being said, sanitizing it is a little protection for the record moving forward.
Yes, and we're going to get into those other incidents with Dr. Sue in just a moment. David, I want to change the facts for you a little bit because I had this discussion with my colleagues and I think we were really getting somewhere. We noticed that the language in all of the documents says he was searching for porn. It's very distinct what police are saying, searching, not necessarily watching. Big difference. Now, if there was information that he had been watching pornography for some period of time while that beautiful little girl is in the car suffering, do you think that then the court may have said, well, this should come in because this is part of the series of events that led up to what's in question?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a gap there as to the conduct during the searching or the, watching or whatever, right? I'm sure he didn't come out and talk about that in his statement and his interrogation. With that being said, certainly any one of those sort of hypotheticals, Julie, in my mind, is probative, extremely probative. And just because something's probative and prejudicial, at the same time, doesn't mean it gets excluded. There's a lot of things that are probative and prejudicial that come into jury trials.
Isn't that the truth? David, thank you for that. Dr. Sue, I want to turn to you about some of the previous incidents with Schultes leaving kids in the car. Police say that an ambulance rushed little Parker to the hospital. Mom Erica Schultes texted her husband, quote, "I told you to stop leaving them in the car. How many times have I told you?" Schultes responded to her, "Babe, I'm sorry." Then Parker's mom texted, "We've lost her. She was perfect." Christopher Schultes writes, "Babe, our family, how could I do this? I killed our baby. This can't be real." Dr. Sue, your thoughts on the family dynamics here?
Yes, good morning, David and Julie. I think what was going on in this family was what I would call abusive parenting style. And what that is, it can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be sexual. But what I think we're focused on here is neglect. And what keeps coming up for me, Julie, in this family dynamic is if the mother knew of his past history, and she also knew that this was something that happened before, why leave the child with him again and again? That sets up a pattern here that he wasn't safe for her to be around. So that's one of the first questions that I would have here. The other thing is, sometimes parents, they do forget that their kid is in the car because it's like habit memory. But once they get in the house and they realize they're not in there, they run out and get their child. Here, he sat down and was doing things, whether it was porn or whatever it was. His mind was not on his child. It seems that it was on himself. So I think there's a pattern here of abusive parenting, and I think that's what needs to be focused on here. We must put our children first before anything else. That is our job as a parent.
Amen. Dr. Sue, let's take a listen to Schultes speaking with police when he's asked about just how long little Parker was in the car.
How long was she sleeping in the car out there? I want to say it was no more than 30, 45 minutes. And I don't think her air was off that entire time. I think there was a time in between. I checked on her last. It was still running. She was still sleeping. And then when I went back out, the car was off.
Okay, so we know it was really more like 3 hours that Parker was in that car. And we know that there were complaints made with Chris Schultes' daughter from another female partner. And they were deemed to be unfounded by Child and Family Services. And the daughter, though, was still moved into the care of mom, even though the complaints weren't given any validation by the state. Still, the child went with mom. Dr. Sue, what does that tell you, please?
Well, right, Julie, they're allegations, and sometimes that happens in high contentious relationships that will be, filed. But what I think happened here and what we're seeing and what it tells me, there's a pattern of something going on in his parenting style. And again, it's neglect to me. It's abuse. It's things that I think they're going to use in court to prove that there's a pattern here of him being, having abusive behaviors towards his children. So when we're looking and, psychologically at these things, we're looking at patterns of behavior that can establish that possibly abuse has happened. The biggest thing, again, is that he did not go out to that car after an hour and a half. So did he just forget that he had a daughter that was sitting in the car? And to me, it's just neglect, neglect, neglect.
Yes, I think he should have taken the deal. He was offered a plea to second-degree murder to do 25 years. He rejected that, so now he's going to trial on charges of first-degree murder. We'll see how that works out for him. Big thanks to David Bruno and Dr. Sue Kornbluth, and thank you at home for being with us. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, coming up on opening statements, we have a case in Cleveland we're going to take you to, but first, we want to remember the victim, in this case in Arizona. Show you beautiful Parker Schultz's picture. This little angel had so much life ahead of her. Everyone said she always had a smile on her face, a joyful spirit. Gone way too soon. We'll be right back.
Donna Adelson was part of a conspiracy to kill her former son-in-law, Dan Markell.
He's not going to survive.
Oh my God!
Dan saw Donna as dangerous.
She's the matriarch mastermind.
She's just being a parent, not a killer.
Victim to Verdict with Ted Rollins. Season finale, Saturday night at 8 Eastern and Pacific. And during the finale, don't miss an exclusive preview for the new season of Interview with a Killer, only on Court TV.
Now for what's tipping the scales of justice this morning, we're focusing on Bianca Ellis. This woman was just convicted of murdering 3-year-old Julian Wood by stabbing the toddler to death in the parking lot of a busy grocery store in the Cleveland area. Let's take a listen to her defense attorneys, Fernando Mack and Carlos Johnson, in the courtroom.
She acknowledges through her lawyers, whether she testifies or not, that she's responsible for the murder of Julian. She acknowledges through her lawyers that she's responsible for the attempted murder of Margot. There's no running away from that. That's not what this trial is about. The evidence will show, though, that it is obvious that she was insane at the time of the offense.
This is a sad sequence of events that somehow it could have been prevented, but it wasn't. So we're stuck with what happened. And what happened was a tragedy. And it wasn't because she wanted to kill someone. It wasn't because she set out that day to kill someone. She told you, and you're going to hear in the video, she goes, I didn't think I would throw my life away like this. I had other plans.
Now, I said it before, I'll say it again. One thing was for sure in that trial. Bianca Ellis had great counsel. I was very impressed with those attorneys, and that is why I've invited them on the program this morning. I want to welcome in now attorneys Fernando Mack and Carlos Johnson. Good morning to you both. And might I just start by commending you on a very well-tried, difficult case, and you two really shined. So thank you for coming on the program and talking to us after that verdict the other day that many of our viewers thought really could have gone either way. So I want to start with just your reactions to the verdict. Fernando, I'll begin with you, please.
Yeah, Julie, first of all, thank you for having us and good morning. We respect the jury's findings in this case. We know that they worked hard. We know that it was a difficult set of facts. There's nothing more powerful in the business that we do than the death of a child. And we knew that that would be a huge obstacle. And we spent a lot of time in the beginning of the case and at the end of the case talking about that in order for them to understand, to get to the next point. But I will say this, they don't have the opportunity to understand that somebody that's found not guilty by reason of insanity, they don't just walk back out into the streets. They ultimately end up being hospitalized for a very lengthy period of time, sometimes as long as it takes for someone to be incarcerated. So that's a little bit of a disadvantage, but we respect their verdict, but at the same time, we disagree with it.
Understood, and appreciate you sharing that with us. That's something we talk about often on this program, about how jurors might think, oh gosh, if I let someone go and don't convict them, then they're going to be walking among us and present another danger. And as you noted, Fernando, just not the case. Carlos, I want to go to you. Your reaction on the verdict, please.
Well, again, we respect the process. It was a sad case all the way around. I mean, a young child died, I mean, for no reason but for her mental health. And I think the jury possibly got it wrong. I think our doctors was correct. I mean, she's a sick woman. She's been sick for a long time. And Fernando and I had an opportunity to meet her when she was at one of her worst points. And once forced medication got involved, she was a totally different person. I mean, totally articulate, a sweet young lady. You would never think she could harm a fly if you met the lady on medication.
That's interesting you say that, Carlos. A follow-up, please. As we were looking at the video there, and I made this remark on the program, she looked medicated to me when we were watching her at trial, very different than how she looked at some of the pretrial hearings. And I believe early on, it may have been before you both were appointed to the case, very early on. I know you know the video where she was seen like kind of smirking at the camera. It went viral. It was a video that national outlets picked up, and everybody was saying, wow, is this an evil woman? And then you contrast that video with what we see here, and she looks so calm and so subdued. Carlos, can you tell us, was she medicated throughout the trial?
She was. We took breaks to make sure her medication remained on schedule. You wouldn't have noticed, but the judge synchronized breaks for the jury so she could go down into the jail to make sure she was administered her medication. And she was heavily medicated. She didn't communicate much with us, but she did communicate.
Mm-hmm. Fernando, tell us, what do you think the biggest misconception about this case was?
Yeah, I think that we live in a country still where we have to educate people about mental health. And, you know, the schizophrenia. She has been mentally ill since she was age 22. And I think that a lot of jurors believe that someone with mental illness still has the ability to commit these crimes even while they are psychotic, having these episodes. And I just think that it's just a lot of misunderstanding, misinformation as it relates to mental health.
Sure. Carlos, let me ask you, please, on October 27th, when you and Fernando go with Bianca to her sentencing, what do you plan to ask the judge for?
Well, we have a ton of information we want to share. He already heard most of the information regarding her mental health, her struggle on and off medication. Obviously, we're going to ask for the least sentence that he would impose. We don't know where he might be. He has a long range of sentencing up into life in prison, which is on the table. And we're worried about her mental health, that they maintain her meds compliance while she's in an institution or prison, because we don't want her to go back to that state that you see on the screen where she just is out of it.
Sure. I wondered if there might be a specific prison you have in mind that perhaps has programs for mental health for someone like her. We just have a couple of seconds. Is there a place?
The DOC decides where they go. They'll do an assessment once she gets to Marion Correctional Institution for Women, and they'll make a decision where she should go for the rest of her sentence.
Understood. Attorneys Carlos Johnson and Fernando Mack, thank you both for taking time out of your busy schedules to come on the show with us and give us some insight into the battle that you all were fighting. You did such a fine job for Bianca Ellis. Not an easy job to do. We want to acknowledge that. Thank you both kindly.
Thank you, Julie.